Hello, cats and kittens. We are live, and it's time for the big grand spectacle to commence. We have Paulina, the angel of music, who's going to be with me this afternoon. Hi, Vivian. And thank you, Danny, for your kind words. Uh, is this a support group for hoarders? Not quite. It's an interview, JJ. And yes, we'll have milk. We'll have a little snack bar in the corner for you and everything. So we're going to have Paulina come up, and I'm going to be interviewing her, and we're going to learn a lot about her musical life. And I'm dying to know a lot about. Thank you so much, Jorgen. I'm dying to know how much she know, like her knowledge of knowing different bands and stuff, and how she knows their backgrounds and all the different how they started their bands, and because I'm going to ask her questions like that too. So it should be a lot of fun. So I'm going to grab me a beer in my mini fridge, so I'm ready to go. And we're going to get this party started. And I got to put the link out for it too. So, all right. Okay. I'm going to put that there. Put my questions down here. Okay, we're ready to go. Now I'm going to put the link out, and for Paulina only. So we'll be ready for this. And well, I got to close this other video that I had on before. And I got to open a new one. Okay. All right, I got to copy and paste the thing in. Okay, here we go. Do I have the right one? Okay, I got the right link. Okay, so this is for Paulina, and we're ready to go. All right, I better text her. Okay. My BD was the same as Beckham. That's so cool. Daddy, I went to Wahlburgers with Mom for your birthday, and thought all of my friends and oh my God, cool. One riveting question: Coke or Pepsi? Ooh. I'm gonna go with Coke. Hey, Stunty. How you doing, Stunty? We're just waiting for Paulina to come. Here we are. She's here. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing amazing.
I made you small. There we go. Now we're good. So I want to welcome everybody today to this very special interview that I'm doing with Paulina. This has been a long time coming, and we're going to find out all the interesting facts about her. I'm dying to know about how she knows all the knowledge of all the groups that she knows about, like 10,000 Maniacs, and how she discovered, like, how she knows all about their bands, how they started, and everything like that. So this is going to be a really, really interesting interview. And I'm happy that you're all here today to support us. And I hope everybody all get your wrenches ready, because Dobbs is on the prowl again. He pretends to be nice, but he's back to doing his business again. So if he comes in here, I'm allowing you to block them if you need to. So are you ready, Paulina?
I'm ready.
All right. So I got my questions here, but I'm going to kind of just use it as a reference, but make up my own questions as I go along. So I want to thank you for joining me today, Paulina, for this very special occasion. My first interview ever. And my first question of the day for you is, what year were you born, and where were you born in this wonderful world?
I was born in an amazing year of 1982 in the fabulous city of Indio, which is known as the City of Festivals.
Oh, wow. Would you like to elaborate more on this place for
Sure.
us?
So Indio is like it's the first city developed in the Coachella Valley. It was first developed, I think, back in I want to say 1924, give or take, and it was mainly built as a city, as a midway city for people that rode the trains to rest at between
Okay.
commuting. And so the Coachella Valley just totally grew around Indio, and so it's like the oldest city. And we're known as City of Festivals because we tend to celebrate like a lot of things. From we are known for hosting the International Tamale Festival that happens in December. We have the Date Festival that happens every February, and then of course we have the amazing Coachella Festival that happens every April. So that's
Oh,
where we're able to. That's where we're able to finally have that kind of City of Festivals moniker to our city's name.
so how young were you when you first discovered you like music?
I like to think I was like probably in my mom's womb when I knew that I liked music, but in actuality, it was probably about maybe after I was born, stuff like that. Because I do come from a musical family. My dad is is a musician himself. You know, him and three of my other uncles are guitar players, and my dad was one that went sort of semi-pro, and so he basically got me into music. And I think that for like the longest time, I was like the only sibling that was really honing into his love of music.
Wow. And how old were you at the time when you started getting into the musical family?
Um, I started playing guitar when I was about 9 years old. Even though
Oh,
I've been doing things before that, like I'll be like in school choirs and stuff like that because I love to sing. So at the age of 9, he bought me my first guitar, and then he started teaching me like a lot of stuff. He taught me "Another Day" by Paul McCartney. He taught me "Mulligan Tire" by Wings, "Words of Love"
wow.
by Holly, and so I was like learning like really good stuff early on. Hey, Pat.
Hi.
She just wants to say hi and wish you luck on the interview.
Yes,
Thanks, Pat. You're awesome.
you're going to do great.
Yep. So she's just going to sit in the back and watch
Yeah.
us do our thing. So she'll be in the
I'll
background.
be in the background cheering you on.
So your earliest things at 9 years old was Paul McCartney. So that's where your love of Paul McCartney started, was it?
It was probably that, and plus, my dad made it known all of his life, ever since the Beatles came out, that like someday I'm gonna have a family, and my first child I'm gonna name them Paul, and they're gonna be a musician, and they're gonna play guitar like me and stuff like that. So I'm basically named after Paul McCartney.
Oh wow, that's a good name to have.
Oh yeah, yeah, and
Well, when I was born, my parents almost named me John, so that would have been cool to be named after John Lennon. But
well,
they decided to call me James instead.
well, that's a Beatle name because Paul McCartney's first name is James.
Yep,
So
James Paul McCartney. Yep, yep, definitely.
and it's funny because I remember going through some newspaper articles that was written about my dad because he became like a very known figure out here in the desert for his work in a police enforcement. And they said like he's even a big Beatles fan, and he named his first child Paul. Thank God his favorite Beatle was not Ringo. Because Ringo would probably get picked on at school. I was like, yeah, Dad, thank you for not being a Ringo fan, because I would hate to be.
Ringo, Ringo. Yeah. So, do you have any brothers and sisters?
Yes, I have. I totally lost count of how many brothers and sisters I have. I have like one full blood sister, and then I have like about, I want to say, 8 um half siblings and a couple of step siblings. Yeah.
Wow. And are they all musicians as well?
My brother Michael, who's out in Texas, he goes under the moniker Wasteful, and so we're our music styles are different because I'm very sunshine poppy, like Beatles, Beach Boys, like kind
Hmm.
of stuff. Whereas
IMZ.
more like he's more like dark, and he's into bands like Mindless Self Indulgence, him, and very like screamo kind of stuff. So we're both totally
Okay.
kind of musicians.
I'm not into the screamo stuff, but I like Motorhead and Metallica and AC/DC and Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath, and all because of Patrick. What was I going to say? Okay. What was your earliest influence other than the Beatles?
It probably has to be Edie Brickell and New Bohemians. Um, I remember my stepmother at the time. She would play on her car stereo the album "Shooting Rubber Bands at the Stars," and just listening to that song "What I Am" and Little Miss S was like, wow, this is like really good music. And I followed followed that band all through their career, Edie Brickell, and more importantly and stuff. So I was like, wow, I didn't know that I could like anything other than Beatles or British Invasion, because my dad got me so into the British Invasion stuff at an early age that I think everything else for like the longest time sucked. But then listening to newer bands, I was like, you know what? There's more to music than just British Invasion.
And what about your education,
I
like school and stuff? And
Yeah, so I went to many schools here in the city of Indio. I first began at Andrew Jackson School, which is not too far from.
oop, what happened? Paulina,
Oh, sorry. I had an alarm phone. I'm sorry. I didn't realize.
you hit the wrong button.
Um, yeah, so I went to like elementary schools around here. Then I went to Indio Middle, and then ended in Indio High School, and then I did some college at both a college here called College of the Desert and Palm Desert, and then I did 1 year, a year and a half at City College of San Francisco. So
Did they have a music program?
they have a music program at College of the Desert. I was part of it for about a couple years, but I left it because the person that was in charge of it, she was very transphobic, and I was there as like a voice major because I really wanted to hone in my skills as a singer, and so I would want to sing with the girls because I could do those high parts like nothing. I cannot go lower. And
Yeah.
so she was like, "Well, I need I need you to sing with the guys." I said, "Well, I don't want to sing with the guys. I want to sing with the girls and stuff like that." And she's like, "So, well, but she was like, well, you're not a girl, so you need to sing with the boys." I was like, "Excuse me, what did you say to me?" And so I left it. I left the program completely. I was like, I don't want anything to
Good
do
for
with it.
you. You don't need people like that in your life.
Yeah. So I sit there like a nasty email saying like, like fuck you, I quit. Like I'm out of this, and I changed majors after that. I changed to being an English major since I liked writing more.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool. So you're gonna write the great American novel someday?
I don't know if I ever get the chance to.
And how did you get involved in Coachella?
So I've been doing like a lot of projects out here in the Coachella Valley because I have my own organization called Trans Community Project, and I tend to be involved in so many things because they like the way that I work well with people. So uh, I was working with a group that put together the East Coachella Valley Pride, which is like the first time we had anything LGBTQ out in this part of the valley. Because the Coachella Valley, there's two parts. There is the East Coachella Valley, which is basically the whole Mexican old traditional side, and then you have the West Valley, which is more of the glitzy very gay kind of area,
Mhm.
stuff like that. And so we did some amazing stuff over here, and I was like someone that was always like being seen doing things. So a couple people from Coachella, they messaged us on the Facebook that I put together and asked like, "Hey, we want to meet with Paulina Angel. How can I get a hold of her?" Luckily, I was the one that got that message. I was like, "Hey, this is Paulina. You could email me here." And so we met, and they said like, we want you to be involved with this Coachella thing that we're doing called Everyone. And so I met with them, saw what it was about, and I was like, "Sure, sign me up." So that's how I got involved.
So basically, what do you do at Coachella?
So the thing that we put together was called the Everyone Initiative. So it's a way that we provide safe space for anyone that's attending the concert. So if you feel like you have taken too much, or you drink too much, or you're feeling some type of PTSD, or you just want to get your mental health in check while at this concert, we provide a place you can go to just relax, to get some water, to like get yourself centered, or if you need to speak to someone like a therapist, we provide like clinicians there that could talk to you. So it's like a
Hmm.
very revolutionary thing, never been done at a concert before, and so we're like the first ever to ever put something like this together.
Wow, that is really cool. Do you write your own music too?
Yeah, I've been at songwriting since I was about maybe 13, 14 years old.
Do you remember the first song you ever wrote?
Shoot, what was the first song I ever wrote? So I remember the thing where my grandmother would be making something, and so I I wrote like this really funny ditty, which was called Grandma's French Fries. But as far as like go, it has to probably be The Rain. I now wrote that in '97.
Well, I remember when I was like 3 or 4, and we were up at the cottage with my cousins and my grandma, my grandpa, who I call Pappy and Nanny, and we're all sitting around the bonfire at night. We all have to sing songs, but I didn't know what kids song to sing, so I made up my own song called Granny and Her Puppies, and it worked. I actually remember that.
Wow.
I sang Granny and Her Puppies, and everybody seemed to like it. I was just winging it at the time. I was like, wow. So I guess that was my first real singing thing that I ever did. So that was kind of fun.
That's the way to do
Yeah.
it.
Okay, I'm going to ask this question early on. I was going to save it for later, but I can't wait. I'm curious to know. Okay, if there is any guitarist, living or dead, that you would like to jam with, who would it be and why? Living or dead?
Um, that's a no-brainer. Paul McCartney.
Hmm.
I just would love to like be in a studio with him. Hopefully, his studio at Hog Hill, and just like playing some of the stuff that I like of his, like especially if it's stuff like from press to play or flowers in dirt, off the ground, tug of war and stuff. I think that would be like a fun experience to have.
Oh yeah, to be jamming, doing that acoustic part in Band on the Run.
Yeah.
And here's Paulina doing the acoustic part for Band on the Run. Yeah, and I think JJ's got something he wants to throw at you here. I needed therapy after I went to a Brooks and Dunn concert. I
I
had to throw that. I love his sense of humor. I had to show that to you.
Because when we did the Everyone thing, we also did Stagecoach, which is the country counterpart of Coachella. And believe me, I needed therapy after that one, especially the first year that we did Stagecoach, because it was around the time that movie came out, A Star Is Born, the one with Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper. And it was a thing where everybody that was performing there thought that, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we show up and we do Shallow by Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper from that movie? And everybody's like, oh yeah, let's do that. No one would ever expect it. Everybody,
Oh,
same thing. So it was like there's like about 3.5 stages over there. So every 30 minutes, someone was doing Shallow. And so it was like, No. So and the thing was like I liked that song, but then after that whole Stagecoach experience, I was like, I never want to hear that song again, and I never want to see that movie ever
Oh
again.
my God. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Lady Gaga that much, but I was shocked the time that she had on that meat dress.
Yeah.
Like she just gets out there, she doesn't care what people think. She's like, okay, I'm gonna wear a meat dress and walk around, see what people think. Well, she must have been naked after that, after a couple of dogs might have got at it. But my all time favorite version of A Star Is Born is the one with Judy Garland, James Mason. To me, that is the classic. That's my favorite version of it because I love Judy Garland, and she is a big influence on my life, and Elvis Presley too. When I was 8 years old, that was my first foray into rock and roll, and then from there, well, the Beatles after that.
Yeah.
So what was your very 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 first Beatles song that you ever heard that just blew your mind? Oh, and her picture goes out again. Another commercial break.
It has to be back in USSR when my dad, and I'll go into that more when we go into my five albums.
Okay. Sounds good.
But yeah, when I first heard that, I was like, I want to do that when I grow up. I was like, that song is so balls to the wall, amazing, and it was probably like the first song I ever heard. So I was like, this is pretty cool.
Well, the first one I ever heard was when I was at my grandparents' place in the late 70s. I might have been 8 or 9, and I saw Yellow Submarine for the first time on the TV. Was Eleanor Rigby. And that song just blew my mind. I was like, I'd never heard anything like it. And of course, I didn't know they were the Beatles. I thought they were just cartoon characters in the film. It was only years later I found out that they really were a band.
They're an actual
Well, I
band.
didn't know at the time, but I was like, wow. Wait. Oh, we got something here from JJ. I got to highlight. Hope I got the right one. There you go. You can read that if you like.
Yeah, I remember seeing that perform. It was like on MTV for like the longest time. And I was like, that is so amazing that he did that, and he was playing guitar on it and stuff like that. It was so cool seeing Billy Joel play guitar on anything.
I've never seen Billy Joel play guitar. I've only seen him play piano mostly.
Yeah, he did guitar when he did perform back in USSR, and he would do guitar early on when he did We Didn't Start the Fire.
Well, I'm going to use one of the questions on here that my friend put on. I'm curious to see how you respond to this one. Do you entertain professionally, or are you a campfire kind of girl?
Probably a campfire at the moment. I've always wanted to do professionally, but I just never given myself the kind of bandwidth to do professional performances. And I think that's mainly because I've sort of sacrificed my musical talents to go into activism. Because when I was going to college, I was going to college mainly on the basis that I wanted to become a performer, to go out there and be like a singer that everybody could listen to and stuff like that. But once I sort of surrendered into becoming an activist, I just never gave myself that time to go out there to perform, which I feel that to me is like a very big defeat, because all of my life I just wanted to be a performer, to be out there playing concerts and hopefully get signed to Capitol Records and stuff like that.
Well, it's never too late, Paulina. You still got the chance to do it. Make a demo.
Yeah, I've been working on demos for like quite a while, so I just need to take the best of what I've written and send it out there.
Yeah, you should, because you've got the talent. You can sing. You play guitar beautifully, and I love singing Buddy Holly with you, which we'll have to do again soon sometime. Now, my next question for you is, you know how you know all about the bands and their backgrounds and how they started and all the albums they've done. How did you learn to do that? Because that takes a really good talent to do that. I couldn't even do that, I don't think.
That's a good question, and I often ask myself, like, where do I store it in here? Because I'm like, like I'm just so fascinated on the human brain on how much information it can retain from bands that you like, their back history, and then chords and stuff like that. I like to think that it probably has to do with my autism, because they do say that people with autism, they tend to study things to the max, and they really dive deep into, like, bands that they love and stuff. So that's probably where it comes from. But I don't know. That's still a mystery to me.
Because you impressed me with your knowledge of knowing about the band's backgrounds and everything, and where they came from and how they got famous and all that. I could never do something like that. I don't even have autism, but I would love to have a knowledge like that, to be able to know about all of my favorite bands that I've listened to, like the Doors and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think it's just basically, like, wanting to know the truth. Like, is like, you could read documentaries from third parties, and you could be like, this seems like a little bit off. Like, I feel like there's more to this story than what they're actually telling. So it's basically just striving for that information and collecting it. Like, it is the thing also, because I also got into journalism. I ran like a few articles on things, and I realized that I don't want to put out an article that is not entirely true. I mean, I
Hmm.
live with 95% of it being true, and there's like this 5% that is not totally clear. But if it cannot be less than 90 when
Yeah.
to information. I like it to be at least over 90 when it comes to things.
Hmm. Let's see what else. Let's see. I understand that you're a musician. What instruments do you play besides guitar? Do you play any other thing?
I play bass, piano, and drums. I've always wanted to be a bass player for obvious reasons, and
Oh, like Paul McCartney, obviously.
but yeah, I do. I started getting into playing other instruments because I also wanted to do the thing that McCartney did, especially on his first album, McCartney, which is play all the instruments and stuff like that. And I'm the same way too with him. He's like, I cannot play the blowing instruments, as he told Conan O'Brien back in '97. He was like, I just cannot find myself having a trumpet right there and just singing something.
Yeah.
Um,
So, well, now we know that he doesn't play that trumpet in Admiral Halsey. That part.
we do hear him play trumpet on the song Only a Northern Song. All those
Really?
sounds, that's McCartney just running around with his trumpet. He still remembered a thing or two from his father when he did that. So,
What album is that? Is that only on the
um,
Yellow
Ring.
Submarine?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's a good song. And it's only a northern song. And then that, wow, is that him on the
Yeah,
trumpet?
that's him. Like, it's like,
Or when
wow.
he goes, bam, 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 that little part at the end?
Hmm.
Yeah, that's him. Oh my God, I never knew that. So what do you like to play on the piano?
Hmm. Good question. Most of the time when I play piano, I just like playing like my own stuff on piano. Even though I do like doing like some of the Beach Boy stuff. It's like I like playing Surfs Up or Heroes and Villains. Wouldn't it be nice? Um and a lot of stuff. Like, I just um yeah.
Yeah. Any classical?
I can never do classical. My fingers cannot do it. I tend to have like fingers that sort of like that act in a very weird way, so I can never really do the classical stuff. I tried taking piano in college, and I did good in most part, but afterwards I was like, I can never do the kind of classical things where you just have this hand going crossing over and stuff like that. And I was like, I cannot do that.
Are you a fan of Elton John?
I love Elton John. I'm more of a Billy Joel fan, but I love Elton John. I feel like some of the songs that he does are quite amazing and stuff, especially on that album, Songs from the West Coast. I feel like that was like the first time hearing stuff from him that I felt emotionally, like personal about. There's
Yeah.
songs on there called "This."
Mm.
Um,
Well,
there's this song called "This Train Don't Stop" and "I Want Love," and I feel like those songs totally is all about me. Like so.
because he did the most complicated intro to a song on the piano that's only been done on guitar, and that's Pinball Wizard.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no one has ever attempted to do that on a piano, but Elton John mastered it. Can you play Crocodile Rock on piano?
If I learned it, then yeah, it seems like a very simple song to play.
Oh, we got our first question from the Peanut Gallery, so I'm going to pop this up and you can answer Jorgen.
Oh yes, um, it's sort of weird when it comes to jazz because I tend to like sort of like modern jazz stuff. There's a singer, her name is Mindy Abier, and she's sort of like a big influence on me. And she did like this album called "Come as You Are," and I just think it's like one of the most wonderful things I ever heard. So but I do need to explore more into jazz. I really do want to get into jazz. When I hear people like Fred Putterman talk about it on his channel, and I know that people tend to laugh about it, but I find it interesting when he talks about like certain jazz bands, groups, and people that he's interested in. And I so I watch the channel a lot because I get like good suggestions from him on who to listen to and stuff. So that is an area that I do want to venture into.
So when you listen to jazz albums, do you try to play along on the piano or guitar or bass or anything like that? See
I
if you can emulate what they're doing?
I usually follow on bass because if I could find like the bass notes on everything, then I could find the chords. So that's how I usually operate when it comes to learning songs. Just finding everything on bass and then just transposing that to guitar or piano.
Trekker, only serious questions, not Baby Shark. We don't want to hear that song. We don't want that stuck in our head. Please.
No,
hey,
baby.
hey, Trekker, it's nice to see you here. Thanks for coming. So, what was my next question going to be? What sort of music do you listen to besides the Beatles and stuff, like other artists and bands and
I I listen to almost everything, whether if it's like Beach Boys, Roxy Music, The Zombies, 10,000 Maniacs, REM, Kylie Minogue. I do love my pop, Ace of Base, and um, so many Santa Teens, Manic Street Preachers. I have like a very big music collection, so I'm always like listening to different things at different times.
who would you say is your very big, besides Paul McCartney? Who would you say is your very biggest influencer in your life?
Um, Music wise, or
Music wise.
probably have to be possibly the band 10,000 Maniacs. I felt like something about their music sort of like opened a new door for me when I start to get into their music. And my when I first started to like really play guitar, the earliest stuff that I was playing, aside from the stuff that my dad taught me, was folk music. And they're like a very folk rock kind of band. So I was like always there, like playing a lot of these stuff that their guitarist John Labardo will write, because he was really into stuff like Sandy Denny, Fairport Convention, Marina something, and so I got into like a lot of folk music early on. So 10,000 Maniacs really opened me up to doing folk music.
Well, one of my influencers was a group that I saw on, well, our Canadian version of MTV is Much Music.
Mhm.
You probably heard of that.
Yeah.
And one day I was watching music videos, and this band came on called Mazzy Star,
Oh yeah.
and they're doing Fade Into You, and I just fell in love with it, and I was like, I like this song. I like the guitar. I like the lead vocals. I like the singer. I thought it was the most amazing thing I ever heard. So I said to my dad when we were visiting my grandma, his mom in Toronto. So I said, "Could you take me to the store? I want to get this album, Mazzy Star, so tonight that I may see." And when I got it home, Paulina, and I listened to it, when I heard uh, "Turning into Dust" with that 6-string guitar, doom, 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 it's haunting. It was beautiful, and I said, I want to play like that, but I couldn't. I couldn't change chords, and I had trouble with it. So I said, you know what? Screw this. I'm joining the choir. I sing better than I play. I can't read music, but I hear things in my head. So I said, I think I'd rather sing in a choir because I sing better than trying to. It's complicated trying to get your fingers around the right uh, um, notes and stuff, and I couldn't do it. So I said, you know what? I will join a choir. I think it'll be better for me, and Mazzy Star was just my influence at the time,
Yeah.
back in '95.
The Massey Star is like it's a lot. I think they're sort of like in the realm of what is known as shoegaze music, dream pop, and a lot of the stuff that I've been listening to from that genre, the guitar players tend to have like their own good chord verse uh, voicings on their guitar, so it's not like the traditional A E D. It's like it'll sort of be like A2 over F sharp bass and all this kind of stuff, and yeah, I could see like how going into that could be very
Yeah.
hard to do.
Before I get to Star Trekker's question for you, Paulina, one song that's on this Mazzy Star album, it's the same. It's the same note all during the whole song. Goes bum 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 bum. It just keeps going like that near bum 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 bum, and it doesn't change. I
Yeah,
wonder why. I wonder why they did it all one note.
I guess it's like one of the things like, well, you take a song like Tomorrow Never Knows, it's all in just in one chord, which is C.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I forgot about Tomorrow Never Knows is the same
And
note over and over.
I think it's like sort of like the thing where like let's see how well we could do the song without just changing chords, you know. And I find it amazing. I always want to do something like that. I haven't done that yet.
I did it once on guitar. My friend taught me some chords, and I did it all one note, and I called it. It I did a song called "I've Got a Feeling," but
Mm-hmm.
it was a different melody to altogether. So now we'll get to Trekker's question for you.
Mm-hmm. My favorite bass player other than McCartney. That is such a good question because there's so many bass players that I tend to like. Because like I love Steven Gustafson of Ten Thousand Maniacs. I also love Mike Mills of REM. It'll probably have to be Mike Mills of REM. I feel like some of the stuff that he's done is pretty amazing, especially the stuff that he did on the Out of Time album. He's like he just totally shines on that. But both him and Steven Gustafson both have the same type of bass playing to them. So it's probably them two. And there's also Chris White of the Zombies. I tend to like his bass playing as well. I'm a very I like studying bass players. I just think that they're amazing. Whether if it's like
Yes, I am, Zed. Don't worry, it's going to be up on my stream.
Mike Mills, Steven
I mean,
Gustafson,
on my
Chris.
channel. Sorry. Whoop. She's gone out again. Folks, another commercial break. It's all good.
I know it's my alarm. I forgot to shut it off, so I don't even know
Okay.
about clicking off. You know.
Don't worry about it. It's okay. It's entertaining for us.
Yeah.
So far, you're doing excellent in traveling.
So, okay. Here's a question from Zeb.
I will get to those Yes albums. I still have them that Patrick sent me, and they're like right here. I just haven't got to them because I just been I I'm somewhat of a workaholic, so I there's still albums I still have yet to listen to, but I will get to those Yes albums. I'm very interested in digging into them. I've been hearing so many great things about Yes, so they will be played. Zeb.
Yeah. Another bassist I really think is cool is Adam Clayton from YouTube.
Yeah, he is amazing. I love all that stuff that YouTube does, especially the from the 80s and then going to do the 200s.
And on Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band after Good Morning, Good Morning, when they do Sergeant Pepper reprise, can you do that Ringo drum beat?
Oh yeah, I'll be like on a drum set and I'll be like, dun, 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 dun.
I just love how he does that. I mean, that was the coolest drum beat I've ever heard. What's it mean? He has a song where drumming is my business. You've heard that song,
I
and
probably
then he
have.
goes,
Um,
and he says a word in there, but I don't know what he means. Thunder, riz off. He goes riz off, but I don't know what he means by that. It's some
yeah,
drum term.
I don't know much of the drummer lingo. I think like everybody has like their own kind of way of saying things, whether they're a drummer or keyboardist or a guitarist or bassist. Yeah, we all
Now,
like.
if you could be in a battle of the bands playing drums, who would you like to do a drum battle with?
Oh wow. I don't know, but I feel like anybody will whip my ass because I'm a very basic drummer. I could basically keep the beat and stuff like that and try to be innovative, but I think any other person that drums could totally beat me any time of the day.
I'd like to see you go up against Larry Mullen Jr. of U2 and Sheila E.
Yeah, those will call me. Those will leave me at the end calling them uncle. Yeah.
Riz off is a safe word. Oh, okay. Okay. What's this? What would you call a person who has nothing to lose in one word? I have no idea.
Hmm. That
Do you
person.
do you have any idea, Paulina? Because I don't.
Carefree. I guess carefree will be.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, my next question for you now is what was your very first concert you ever went to?
1988, the Cover Girls at the Indio Fairgrounds. This is when,
I've never heard of them.
well, the Cover Girls were like one of those kind of girl bands that were only around for a very hot minute. Because it was like around time during the late 80s where a lot of these, sort of like these groups were coming around. That was like sort of like the precursor to hip hop. Like, whether it's like someone like Shannon or Lisa and stuff like that. So they're sort of like in that realm. Expose kind of.
I
Yeah.
remember Expose, yeah.
So they're more like Expose in that kind of sense. But they're only around for like about 3 or 4 years, and that was it.
Yeah. Well, my first concert that I ever went to was a group from Timmins, Ontario, Cowboy Junkies.
Mm. I've heard a lot about their music. Their music is great.
And when I saw them on Much Music, they had a spotlight on them, and the first song I heard was Tuesday. Song comes up as Tuesday Morning, and then I saw them do their cover of Tom Waits' song Sweet Jane, and I fell in love with it. I said I got to get this album, and I really fell in love with Margot Timmins' voice, and she's like a torch singer in a way.
Yeah.
And I've seen her like 5 or 6 times in concert. And one time I went up to the stage and I saw her and I said, Margot, I had flowers for her. she came over to me. She recognized me from all the other times I've seen her. She knows I'm a huge fan of the band. She came over, she kissed me on the cheek, and then ran her hand across the back of my head. And then I turned around, and all the people were cheering at me. And I get back to my seat. This couple that was sitting with me and my dad, we didn't really know them because they were just fans too. The couple bought me a beer and said, "You got to get a beer for this." I mean, that you got a kiss from Margot. I mean, you got to be gloating right now. I said, "Oh, I am. I was like, I was on cloud nine. I was like, yeah." And they're such a great band, and they do kind of like bluesy stuff. And there's one song you have to hear it live. Um, I wish I had a blue guitar. Blue guitar is so good. When they do it live, it sounds really good. And another song that they do is called "Lost My Driving Wheel." And
I
they're
it's
such a great band. And another Canadian singer that I fell in love with when I heard her sing Ben's song on also on Much Music is Sarah McLachlan.
yeah. I love Sarah McLachlan.
And
I
I've seen her live, but I never met her.
I think Ben's song is on this album, on Touch.
Oh, I love that album.
Yeah, it's like the last song on the album. Such a great tune.
Yeah, and I like her song "Fear" on "Fumbling Towards Ecstasy."
Mm-hmm.
That's a great song. And "Hey, your glass is empty. It's a hell of a long way home" or something. I just love that song.
Yeah.
"Arms of the Angel." A lot of people don't know what the song is actually about. It's about a guy in a hotel room who has an overdose.
Yeah. I think
I
it's like,
mean, she has depressing songs, but her lyrics are so beautiful.
mhm.
That's why I like her music. I'm like, and my dad says, "Why do you like this kind of stuff? It's depressing." I said, "No, Dad, you don't understand it."
You gotta. It's like, yeah, it's one of those things where Sarah McLachlan is those kind of artists that are like songwriter artist, and you really listen to the lyrics more than the music itself, because the lyrics are like just more very poetic, and that's something you don't really find in music nowadays. Really great storytelling lyrics, and her music is just like great stories,
Yeah.
one track after another.
So, Peanut Gallery, don't be shy to ask Paulina questions too. I'll throw you up there so you can ask your questions as well. Just type in the chat what you want to say to her and everything, and we'll just go from there. Okay, we got one question from Zeb here for you.
One short sentence to McCartney, except "I love you," etc. What would you say? So, when are we gonna get Cold Cuts finally? And if you don't know what Cold Cuts is it's a compilation that he started working on, I want to say during 81, and then he worked on it again in 86, 87. And it was supposed to be like a lot of songs that never made it onto his solo stuff, like the Wing stuff. The big song on there is called Water Spout, and we still haven't got.
Oh, she gone out again. The alarm went off again.
Yeah. Well, I was able to shut it off this time, so I won't be interrupted again. But yeah,
Okay, good. Hey, Royce.
that everybody loves called Water Spout, and years later we still haven't gotten this compilation. So I think everybody, and it's the thing that we talk amongst people like Joe Mayo and Tom Huniotti and stuff like that, and Tim Allen, and we're like, you know, we need a Cold Cuts. We totally need that Cold Cuts album, to be out. So I think that, and we get frustrated when you have like a lot of these people who interviewing McCartney. They have the opportunity to interview McCartney, but he never goes straight to that question, and we never wonder, and we wonder why,
Yeah.
Uh,
Now, okay, this is what okay, first I'll ask you the question, then I'll tell you what I'd ask this person. Okay, if John Lennon was still alive, what would be the one question you would ask him? You're gonna laugh at my question, but you go
wow.
first.
That is such Wow, that's a big order. I really wouldn't know what to ask him. I know there's like a lot of things that were left. Wow, that's a good question. You got me there. You totally got me there.
Well, my question would be, John, why Yoko?
I was the same way for a time. I was like, like John, why Yoko? It was like, but I think as years go by, it is the thing where you look back and you're like, well, things happen for a reason. Even though
Yeah.
I think like it's very shitty what she did to Julian right after John passed away. Like I think,
Wouldn't let him have his dad's guitar. That's not right.
that's like one of the most saddest parts of the whole thing. Is like um, yeah.
That's a good one, Zeb. Oh, okay. Here's a question from Zeb here. I think this is a very good question.
Worst 3 genres of music. I know rap is one of them. I do not like rap. I would never understand rap.
I agree with you there. I don't like rap either.
As far as like other genres, I don't know. There's genre. It's called reggaeton, and it's sort of like rap and reggae music all together, and I just can't understand it for the life of me. And a third genre, I'm spacing out on. Just those two. I cannot think of a third.
Yeah. Paulina said she likes everything just 10 minutes ago, Stunty. Okay, Stunty. Wow. Wow. I mean, there's a lot of things I don't like either. I don't like rap. I don't like screamo heavy metal, but I like some certain heavy metal. But when you really listen to heavy metal, it sounds like just hard rock.
Yeah.
Because I'm still not sure what genre Led Zeppelin would fall under. Does it fall under heavy metal or is it hard rock?
I think it's hard rock when it comes to Led Zeppelin. It's like, yeah, it's like, because I think Black Sabbath rocks harder than Led Zeppelin. Not taking Led Zeppelin, but Black Sabbath or that.
Oh, here's a good question from JJ.
What activist do I look up to? There is this really amazing activist that I was researching for like the longest time. Her name is Caroline Causey, and she goes by another name called Tula. Now, Caroline, she appeared in the music videos for "Some Like It Hot" and "Get It On" by Power Station. But when she stopped doing like centerfolds kind of stuff and being in a James Bond movie, she really got into activism, and I really loved the work that she'd done. She's like one of the first trans pioneers of the movement, so she's someone that I look up to. And as far as like activists from today, there's like so many, like Sarah McBride, who I've been able to meet. Like she's became like the first trans senator in the United States out of Delaware. This other activist named Addison Vincent, who's out in LA. She's someone that I look up to. Like we're great friends and stuff. So yeah, I tend to look up to activists like from back then and today. And of course, we cannot go without saying mentioning Harvey Milk. Harvey Milk did lay down all the foundation that was needed.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
Yeah.
Well, my favorite activist is John Lennon for peace, and I want to continue with what he does. So all my pictures that are taken of me, you'll always see me doing the peace sign, because John Lennon is my influence, and so is Elvis, because Elvis is my idol. And I think John Lennon stood for something that was very, very, very important.
Yeah.
And I liked all his protest songs, like Attica State, John Sinclair, and all those good things that he's done over the years, like Power to the People, and like songs like that. Like John was just an amazing guy.
Yeah.
Even when he was in the Beatles, he was starting to do all that kind of activist stuff. And I really think that he is like a genius for all that kind of music that he's done over the years. And that's why he's my favorite Beatle.
Hmm.
And now, can you tell me about why Paul's your favorite Beatle?
I'm attracted to people with talent, and I feel like someone like McCartney, he's someone that just has like this overflowing of talent that there's no end to it. There's really no end to what he could do, and it is a thing where it's like, while the other Beatles took that kind of vacation in '66, he was back in the studio with George Martin working on Family Way, and I just like how he loves to continue to work and continue to make music, and I'm the same way too. I just never could see myself stop doing what I love doing. Um, Plus, he writes like such a lot of amazing stuff. It's like when you think that he's done, nah, he throws you another album, and you're like, wow, that is amazing. So
Oh yeah, Working Class Hero. That's a great song tracker. God, yeah, Mother. But when you listen to the lyrics of God,
mhm.
like I don't believe in Beatles. I just believe in me. Yoko me, that's reality. Like I never quite understood what he meant by that. He doesn't believe in Elvis, but Elvis was his big influence. I don't get why he said that.
I think the song God is a declaration of saying, at the moment, well, for now, it's all just about Yoko and me. Anything else I don't believe in, I don't want to focus on or anything. Like, they're like everything else is down here, but me and Yoko is like right here. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you watch the Get Back documentary, because I watched part one, it looks better on Blu-ray. The colors are beautiful. It looks better than it did on Disney Plus. Well, I started a little late because I went to bed after midnight last night because it
Mhm.
was 2.5 hours. I shouldn't have started it so late because I was dozing off. I'm like, why am I doing this? I should watch it at an earlier time where I can actually sit there and enjoy it. But it's mentioned that he thought Yoko was more important to him at the time than the Beatles were,
Yeah.
because it's mentioned in there. I think Paul said it. Like he'd rather be with Yoko than be here with us, where he should be concentrating on the band and the music and everything that's going on around him.
Mhm.
But he's so into Yoko, he doesn't give a shit about us anymore.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about that?
Um, I agree with Paul's assessment on that whole thing, because hearing it, especially coming from Paul, he saw he saw what was coming up around the band. He saw that, John is so head over heels in love with Yoko, and he started to realize, like, I think it's gonna get to the point where he's gonna choose her over us, and again, I don't blame him. I really don't blame him for choosing that. I get it. And it is the thing where everybody was like, the Beatles could have continued on, they could have continued being a band, but I think looking back from how I perceived it when I was little to now, I feel like the same thing. Everything happens for a reason, and the Beatles ended on top, and thank God that they ended their career on top, because they could have gone a few more years and maybe their music could have gone a bit stale if they would have stayed together as a band and not end their career on top like they've done before. So it is a thing where, yeah, they broke up at the right exact time that they needed to, and
Yeah, but I think that All Things Must Pass would have been the perfect ending for Let It Be.
yeah.
The last song on the album, because it's an ending, because they're breaking up. All Things Must Pass would have been the perfect song to end the album,
Hmm.
in my opinion. Okay, we got something from JJ here for you.
um I agree. I think Well, I think now it's like Paul was just basically just like, testing the waters around him. Like, he had been with someone like George Martin for like a while, and so now it's like, I'm at this stage in my life. I just want to make the kind of music I want to make and work with the kind of people that I want to work with the time that I have left. So he is like, just branching out and just working with any producer that he felt that could, like complement the stuff that he does, it, but it's Paul, it's like we cannot really dictate too much to him to do things a certain way. Like he's gonna continue making the music that he wants to make, and we just have to listen and hopefully something resonates with us. It is the thing that McCartney 3 is a really good album, but I think that he hasn't made an album that totally impressed me since I want to say Chaos and Creation or Memory Almost Full. But not to give any negative towards the albums that came after Chaos, because there's always something good on those albums that he did either on New or Egypt Station. There's some stuff in there that I really did love.
I think he went overboard with all those different versions of Egypt Station. Like, how many do you need?
I think you're talking about McCartney 3.
No, I'm talking about Egypt Station when he had all those different versions of it, like the suitcase version, the briefcase version. He had so many of those. I was like, one is enough. I mean, do you have to put out so many versions of the damn album? Come on.
And I wonder if that's him or that's Capitol Records that was doing all of that, because I think that things sort of got ridiculous when not only like, the suitcase thing and the Explorer edition and this edition, that edition, and then the McCartney 3, it was just like different color variations, and you're like, oh God.
Yeah. So Jeffrey, you have any questions for Paulina? Go ahead and don't be shy to ask, because I'm asking questions, but I'm letting other people in the peanut gallery get a chance to ask their questions too. Because I'm really enjoying doing this interview. I was nervous at first, but I'm getting into it. I'm relaxing because now we're talking about the Beatles. And I knew this conversation was going to come up at some point in it. So now I'm getting really into it now. So I'm really enjoying myself with this. So go ahead, ask questions. Don't be shy. What was my next question now? Okay, well, there's one song I've never heard the whole album of McCartney 3, but there is one song I really do like, the instrumental, Long-Tailed Winterbird. I think that is fantastic as an instrumental piece. I think it's really good, where he plays all the instruments.
Yeah, when I first heard that track, I was like, wow, because it has that kind of McCartney 2, McCartney quality to it, which I totally love. I think that's why an album like that warrants the name McCartney 3, because there's like so much in there that is reminiscence to the other two albums that he
I don't
did.
know if it's on McCartney 2 or the first McCartney album, but I know it's an instrumental, goes dun, 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 or something like that. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, it's called Hot as Sun. And
I like that instrumental. It's pretty cool.
can you believe that he composed that in 1958?
Really? 1958. Wow, I didn't know that. I thought he wrote it years later.
No, that song goes even before the formation of the Beatles. Like he just did that around that time, and I was like, wow, because it sounds like something that could come out straight out of the late 60s, but this is like a song that comes out from the 50s. I don't know what his mind headspace was around 58, like, to create something like that. That's a beautiful track.
Yeah. So here's a question from Trucker.
Paulina, did you ever go to Tower Records in LA? I was so young to go there around the time that was around, so I never had a chance to. It was like, I've always wanted to go to Tower Records. I heard so much great things about it. I know that my dad had gone there many times, and then I had like other uncles and people that I knew that went there, and I'm like, oh, I wish I could have gone when it was still around.
There's a really good documentary on Tower Records.
All Things Must Pass. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really good documentary on that. I watched that years ago, and I thought it was really good. Okay, here's a good one from Jeffrey Boyle.
On the Hamburg tapes. The Star Club stuff.
Yeah, because I have the double album of that.
I think I would love to see if Peter Jackson could do what he said he could do, what he did on Get Back to polish up those tapes, and us finally getting like an actual release from Capitol and Apple on that. And like I would let, so I heard some of the stuff from those tapes, and I like the stuff that they were doing, like Red Cells on the Sunset or Red Hot and Shimmy Shimmy. Those are like really good performances. You know, those are really cool.
Well, here's one from Stunt Rock. I forgot. I've been missing out on his Beatle questions.
What do you think of Paul's Secret Friend? Oh, that's the B-side of I think it was Temporary Secretary. I think.
Sorry about that, Stunty.
It's a great instrumental. I enjoyed that McCartney 2 stuff, whether it's Secret Friend or Check My Machine. It's amazing that if there's anything that people should know about McCartney 2 was that it was an album that was put together not as an album, but it was just Paul experimenting with a 16-track machine at his studio and in Monguitar, which was Root Studio. Or was it called the Spirit or Ramanak or something like that? And it was just basically him just like, like experimenting with this tape machine, the synthesizers and stuff like that. And so it's quite amazing like how innovative he was back then. That's why I called him as my favorite Beatle, because he's always going into different frontiers when it comes to music. And I think Secret Friend is like one of those songs that really does show like, he was like exploring so many things, especially when it came to electronica.
Well, I know one song that he did back in I think it was in the 80s. Remember Rupert the Bear, the cartoon?
Oh yeah.
Ask Joe Mail about this one. We all stand together. You remember that one? Bom, 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 bom. I remember that piece.
I love that cartoon. I had the VHS of it when I was little, and I played it a lot because I liked that song. We all stand together, and all those.
Okay, here's another one from JJ.
What are your favorite tracks on the anthology? So let's see. For the first anthology, I have to go with Besame Mucho, the one after 909, Lend Me Your Comb, Leave My Kitten Alone, and there's one more that I'm spacing out on. For anthology 2, it has to be That Means a Lot, If You Got Troubles. That fuller version of You Know My Name, Look Up the Number.
Oh, I love that song. You know my name. Look up the number. I like at the end when John burps.
And for anthology 3, it has to be that version of Obla Di Obla Da, and of course, Not Guilty and Come and Get It.
If you want it, here it is. Come and get it. Yeah, that's a Badfinger song.
But
okay.
I like the McCartney version more than Badfinger.
Yeah, I do too. Okay, this is kind of a stupid question, but I got to show this one. This is hilarious.
No. I respect Bono too much to never.
Dad, why would you ask a question like that? I mean, come on. Bono's awesome.
Bono's cool.
All right, I gotta highlight this one here for you. Whoops.
Mecca has been releasing multiple variants and single variants since the early 90s. Seems like a cash grab to me. Collectors that are completists are having to buy it all.
Well, I know one person that is a completist, and that is Marv. Beatles fan 85 or whatever. You know him?
Yeah,
Marv gets every single version of everything. I don't know where he gets the money for it all, but he's got everything.
Yeah, I will never go overboard when it comes to like multiple variants and stuff like that. I will get some reissues of some stuff if it's like an album that I really like. Case in point, the White Album. If there's like a reissue of it, I get it. I don't think I've gotten much reissues of the McCartney stuff, except for maybe different versions of Flowers in the Dirt, which I still haven't gone the archive version of it on vinyl. But I did get the box set of it. But
Zeb says, "Ha ha ha!" Just to get a reaction from you, dear James and Paulina. Good one, Zeb. I think you're just trying, Zeb. I think you're just trying to keep me relaxed, so I'm enjoying myself, and I am enjoying myself.
But also and stuff like that, like, and if you don't want it, then don't get it,
Yeah.
But he says if you want it, here it is, come and get it, but you better hurry because it's fast.
But one of my favorite songs, Paul McCartney, is "Calico Skies."
Oh yeah, from Flaming Pie. I even did a recording of that. I one day I just sat down and I was like, I wonder if I could do this song, and it's the hardest song to play on guitar because he's like slides from the upper part of the fret to the bottom part, and then
Yeah, I know it sounds it's like very complicated.
mm-hmm.
It sounds, but it's such a beautiful love song. And one day, I hope to play that song for a girl that I have a crush on, and it'll be soon, hopefully. And another song I like from him is "Junk."
Yeah, I like doing that one as well. I was so happy the day that I learned that on guitar. I was like, yes, got it down.
Do you remember Show Party of Five?
I remember that show. I never watched it, but I do.
But there was one scene where one Paul McCartney song really fit the scene, and that was "Put It There."
Oh, awesome!
Put it there if it weighs a ton. Such a great song.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the lyrics are so beautiful, and it's like, oh, I just love that song.
To me, it's like a very underrated classic of McCartney's. I feel like that song should get more love than it already has.
Okay, this is a two-part question because it's two songs. What are your thoughts on My Brave Face and She Loved the Biker Like an Icon?
I love My Brave Face. I feel like it was like one of those things as a child when I first heard it. I think I was about 6, maybe 7 years old when Flowers in Dirt came out, and I was like, "This is so cool! It sounds like the Beatles." And it was a thing where like around this time I didn't make the connection that this guy that's singing this song, My Brave Face, was this guy that was in the Beatles singing back in USSR. And so when I started to realize like, oh, he's a Beatle, he's part of the Beatles. Wow, no wonder why it sounds like the Beatles, because this has like that really cool sound to it. And Biker, I think that's a really cool Americana song. I think that's the kind of stuff that you want to listen to when you're driving down like a desert road, like going like either from California to maybe Arizona or something like that. Just have that on down the road.
Yeah. I like those two songs. They're really cool. And another one that he did, another French song that he did next to Michelle was "Où est le soleil dans ma tête." Remember that one?
Où est le soleil dans la tête travaille.
Yeah, that's a great song too.
Yeah, I like all those songs on Flowers in the Dirt. There's not one song on there that I say like, nah, that's rubbish. I will never listen to that again. Which I never really understood why that album got so much hate later on. I love that entire album.
What? What the hell? Okay, maybe you can make light of this. What is Stunty trying to tell me here?
Now, even in a IR Coco Gonzo, still find it great if they use.
Oh my god, that's Stunty for you. I
Yeah,
love you, Stunty. You're a good guy. I knew you put something crazy like that in there, but Stunty, I love you, man. You're a good friend, and I'm glad you're here to make me laugh.
you keep us awake, Stunty. Yeah.
You keep us awake. You keep us smiling and everything. Well, Stunty's sense of humor. He always has something weird to talk about. Uh, oh, here's a good one for you to listen to answer the question to.
Paul. Come on,
I knew that. I knew that.
to give Paul a kiss in the cheek.
Now, with Paul, even though he's married, what if he asked you out to dinner one night and he wanted to talk music with you? Would you go out with him?
Definitely. Yeah. Paul, you know how to get a hold of me. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Let's make it happen. Let's do an album together.
Well, I do the same with Sarah McLaughlin. And are you? Do you eat meat, or are you vegetarian like Paul?
Nah, I eat meat.
I eat meat too.
I wanted to go vegetarian, and I almost went vegetarian, and it didn't last that long.
Oh, here's a good one from Star Trekker.
No, that would be an interesting team up, McCartney and Brian Eno. Yeah, that'd be interesting to hearing them to do something together.
Okay, I gotta show this one. This is kind of funny.
Score grass for Paul if he asked me to. I wouldn't even know how to maintain it. I don't
Neither
know.
would I.
Grass.
It wasn't until Joe Mail brought it to everybody's attention a few years ago when I was in the chat with him. This is before I discovered StreamYard. And he was saying the song "Got to Get You Into My Life." For years, Paulina, I thought it was a love song. I didn't know it was about drugs.
Me neither.
Because how is it about drugs? It's not mentioned in the song, but how do you know that it is?
Let's see. I was alone. I took a ride. I didn't know I would find there another road where maybe I could see another kind of mind there. Okay, now I get it. It's basically in that first lyric, like I took a road, like I was alone. I took a ride being like a psychedelic trip, yeah. Now I can see it.
Okay, here's another question from Zeb for you.
Bottom 3 McCartney LPs. Ooh, okay. So all I know is like at the very bottom is Wings Wildlife. I'm not a fan of that album. There's about one song on there that I like, but the rest of it I'm not a big fan of. And as far as like the other two ones, I'll have to say
Feel free if you want to show them on camera, you can.
I have to say, well, yeah. So Wings Wildlife is like I'm nice.
Here, let me make you big for that, so you can show it if you want.
Speed of Sound.
Ooh, that's a good album.
Yeah.
Here, I'll make you big.
Yeah.
So you can show it.
No, this has to be like the second bottom up for me, and then for third, I don't know what the third will be because I think everything else after
Hey, Nick.
up a bit. Maybe Pipes of Peace. Maybe I'm not entirely sure.
I got solo. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Star Trek.
That's all Linda right there.
It's Martha, my dear.
Martha about the dog.
Didn't you have a song? What's Jet about?
Jet is, I think. Well, Jet's the name of his other dog. as well. So I think he probably wrote it about that as well. Even though I think the lyrics doesn't suggest that it's about a dog. It sounds more like a person that he's in love with, but their father is like the sergeant major that doesn't really like him or something like that, you know.
Yeah. I thought the lady was a suffragette.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good song.
Major was a lady suffragette. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Junior's Farm?
Love that song. I feel like
That's so great.
that's like a very great rocking song right there. When I first heard that, I was like, wow, I need to learn this on bass when I start learning bass. And I do. I learned it on bass when I start
There's
to.
a line in the song that I don't understand. He bought a Chi-Chi and he jumped the fence. What's a Chi-Chi?
What's that lyric? Let me get out the. Let's see this U.S. version. Yeah. He pulled a ching ching and he jumped. Okay, ching ching is like Okay, so when you're like at a casino and you pull the
Okay.
left, like ching ching.
Oh,
Yeah,
that thing. Okay.
yeah. So that's what it means. Yeah,
Ah.
it's like the casino term.
Okay. A lot of people, it's touch and go with this song. But what are your thoughts on Silly Love Songs? I think it's a good song.
Yeah, has like a very great bass line to it.
But why do most people don't like that song? What is it about it that they find it's crap?
I don't think people find it that it's crap. I just think that maybe it's one of those songs that are like too overplayed. Because it is a thing where if you hear a song way too many times, then people get tired of it. I think if it wasn't so overplayed that much, then people would like it a lot. But like it is a thing where it's on the radio all the freaking time, and
Yeah.
you really want them to play something else of McCartney, like Junior's Farm. You never hear Junior's Farm on the radio, or you never hear something like Another Day or other songs. Like it's always like the same ones: Band on the Run, Jet, Silly Love Songs, and one more.
No, I don't track her. But one song, the first Paul McCartney song when he was in Wings that I ever heard on the radio was Let Him In.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was the coolest. I was like 9 or 10, I guess.
Yeah,
And I thought it was the coolest song I ever heard.
I want
Like
to hear.
it fades out, but it comes back in.
Yeah,
Then it goes da 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 at the end. It was like, it kind of scared me the first time because it was so loud. It was like, oh my God.
yeah, it goes.
It just hits you in the face. It's like, wow. But another song that I really think is good from Band on the Run, 1985.
Oh yeah, that. I think that was like one of the first songs I started to learn on piano when I started playing it. I was like, I really want to learn that song, 1985. That sounds amazing.
But is there a reason why they reprised Band on the Run at the end to fade out?
I think just to bookend the album. I think it was like, wouldn't it be clever if we could just add in that tag at the end of 1985, so like to bookend the end of the album. I think it was sort of like reaching on. I don't know. It was like reaching on the whole thing that they're doing with Sgt. Pepper, where you had the reprise at the end.
Yeah. Do you like the song Picasso's Lost Words, like Drink to Me or whatever it's called there?
That's a good song, and I love the story behind it. Where I think it was Dustin Hoffman that brought the idea to McCartney to write it, because I think I think McCartney was vacationing out in, I think it was Jamaica or something like that, and Dustin Hoffman was out there with Steve McQueen making Papillon, and Dustin Hoffman said, like, can you write a song about anything? And then he showed him the article, and right there off the bat you hear Paul saying, "Drink to me, drink to my health. I can't drink anymore."
Yeah. Another song that I like on with the bass line in it is what's it called there? Mrs. Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Yeah, dum 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 dum. Oh, hey ho,
Go live
oh,
in,
hey
don't
ho.
don't pay rent. You don't even know time, but you don't mind. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the best bass lines in that song in that album. And another song, I forget what album it's on, but it's Dragonfly Little Lamb.
Red Rose Speedway. Yeah.
Dragonfly, come to my window. Like Paul has such great lines in his songs. Like he just comes up with something so beautifully melodic, and it's like wow. Like you just get blown away. Your jaw hits the floor. Every song he does is like you're like, whoa, this is so cool, type of thing. The first time I heard Mull of Kintyre, I was like blown away. Like
Yeah.
when he brought in the bagpipes, I was not expecting that. I watched one that I begged my mom to let me watch on pay per view for rental because I really wanted to see the concert, and I think it was in Nova Scotia. And he sang Mull of Kintyre, and then the bagpipes they came on, the pipes and drums came onto the stage. I was bawling. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. I thought it was the most beautiful thing I ever saw. I was not expecting that, and the crowd was going wild for it. They loved it. I was not expecting Paul to throw that into the audience, and and you know what? Every time I watch a concert on YouTube or something, I always love when he does "Hey Jude" and he gets the audience involved.
Yeah. I know. We
And
tend
you
to.
were great, and you were great, and you were great. All that he does.
We talk about that like on some of the stuff like on Mayo's or Tom Haniati's, and it'll be the thing like at the end, you'll be like going nah 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 nah.
No, no,
Oh,
no, no. Yeah.
oh
Hey
wait
Jude.
now.
Yeah. All the ladies now, then all the men.
Everybody,
And here's another question from Zeb for you.
have you heard my Beatles? Wow. No, I haven't. But thank God this house is insured. So if anything should happen, I know everything could be.
So you do have a couple guitars there in front of you. Uh, can you show them?
Well, I just have the one guitar right here,
Okay. I'd
and
like to see that. I'm sure our viewers would love to see that.
that's what I call the Mighty Fender Telecaster.
Oh, nice.
And the signatures are of 10,000 Maniacs.
Oh, nice.
They signed it back in 2015 when I saw the
Cool.
Palm Springs Pride. So I was like, because when I bought this guitar when I was my Sweet 16, I said to myself, someday I'm gonna have 10,000 Maniacs sign this guitar, and I met them, and they did.
Um. Okay. Here's another question from Zeb.
How many Beatles CDs, LPs, MCs have you worn out in total? Wow, that's a good.
That's a really good question.
Uh,
Wow.
I cannot answer that because I don't even know the answer myself. I know I have multiples of Beatles on cassette tapes, though. I know if one fails, I have another one that I could go to. But yeah.
All right. Stunty has a question for you.
If I become a music fan, do I have to start listening to George Harrison's music? If you want to, it's like George did put out some great stuff when he went solo. I think, well, of course, everybody thinks that All Things Must Pass is a great album, which it is, and then of course you have Cloud Nine, but there's some stuff in the middle that are like really good, whether if it's songs on Living in a Material World, the self-titled George Harrison album. And I know that there's a version of somewhere in England that people really like and stuff. So I would say give George Harrison's solo stuff a chance. Like, you might find something in there.
Yeah. And his answer to "Here Comes the Sun," "Here Comes the Moon, a moon, a moon, a moon."
Oh yeah, off of the George Harrison album. That's a great track. That and Blow Away from that album.
Two of my favorite songs are all what's it called? There, "Isn't It a Pity?" That's a
Hmm.
great one. The first version of it, it's really long. That song, I love that song, and I also love Cracker Box Palace, Box Palace, or whatever it's called there.
Ooh, you bring such joy to Cracker Box Palace.
Yeah,
No matter where
we've
you.
been expecting you. And
Yeah.
here's another one from Zeb.
What Beatles song do you never need to hear again by the Beatles? That is a good question and believe me, there are times where I just didn't want to hear certain songs ever again. But I think after I haven't heard them for like a while, I will want to hear them again. So it's probably like the usual stuff that you hear on the radio. Um, what songs are those? I'm not entirely sure. Um, yeah. Um, I need to think about that question, and I'll get back to you.
Mm-hmm. Harrison always sounds to me very generic classic rock.
Well, the thing with George was like he was always meant to just be a guitar player. He was never meant to be a songwriter like McCartney and Lennon is, but he did come on his own and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's like because I feel like he lost his way a lot during the mid '60s. Once he started getting into the whole Indian music, he was more about playing the sitar than it was about playing serious guitar. So there was like this gap where he was just nothing but just wanting to make all these kind of mystical kind of songs that he makes and stuff like that. Which, if you see the Get Back thing, it is true. You see him in a very kind of not really sure of himself, and saying like, well, maybe we could get Eric Clapton to play this thing, not me, and stuff like that. They're like, well, we want Eric Clapton on this. We want George Harrison.
Roger, I'm wearing this because Paulina wanted me to wear my hoodie for this because she loves my new hoodie. So I promised her I would wear it. She asked me to wear this today for this. So that's why I'm wearing it. I'm not on probation. I'm doing what I have to do. But you know what? I think George really came into his own on the White Album with "While My Guitar Gently Weeps." And then he wrote his answer song to it after was "I Can't Keep My Guitar from Crying."
Yeah.
I mean, two classic songs. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. And for years, I always thought it was him doing the guitar solo till I heard it was Eric Clapton. I never knew that.
Me neither, until I started to really read about it, and I was like, wow, okay.
Well, I think we're at the part for your first of the 5 albums that you want to show us and explain to us why you love this album so much and what it means to you.
Okay, so the
We're
first
ready for this.
is like I feel like the number 5 album could always change a lot, but for right now, I pick
Oh, I gotta make it big.
Cosmic Thing by the B-52s. And I feel like this is an album that really challenged me as a guitar player because this is like the first album that they did without Ricky Wilson, who passed away from AIDS about 4 years prior to this. And so Keith Strickland, he really came on as the getting out of the drum set and just really putting his guitar playing. And this is where I really learned like how to do like a lot of funk guitar on it. And it was handy because he's playing a Telecaster right there, and I play teles, and so this album, like, I feel like totally challenged me as a guitar player. I just got all the funk out of this, so I love it. And plus, songs are great too. It's like you have great songs like of course you have stuff like Love Shack, Rome, but you have like all these other great songs that don't get much attention to, like Debbie Club, Junebug, Channel Z,
Hi,
and
Eric.
Being Topaz. And also, you get like this great instrumental by Keith called "Follow Your Bliss," which I think that was like a moniker that I picked up during high school when I tell everybody "Follow your bliss" because that is a true statement. We just got to do it.
You are absolutely right, Jorgen. All those years ago was a great Harrison song. Definitely. Oh, I gotta make it smile. Like, we'll just go slowly through the 5 albums. We're not going to rush into them all at once.
I agree, Nick. Like, people need to have some room in there for BB2s. They make great music.
What album is the song Rock Lobster on?
That's on the first album, the self-titled B-52's album, which I like that song too. And I had a blast just learning that on guitar. First time learning how to detune my guitar.
There was a song that came out in 1993. I forget the band's name, but I thought it was a really cool song called I Love You, Period. You ever heard that one? I love you, period. Do you love me? Question mark. Do you love me in parentheses and something like that? Do you remember that one?
I don't quite remember that one.
What about Two Princes?
Oh yeah, Spin Doctors. It's funny when I had my first Twitter account, the lead singer followed me on Twitter, and I wasn't even following him, and I was like, wait a minute, how did the lead singer of Spin Doctors find me? They're like, okay, I'll follow you back. That was a cool
As long as it goes, Mom. Private Idaho, great B-52 songs. Oh, cool, Eric. Do you have any questions for Paulina, Eric? Go ahead, ask. Don't be shy. And Nick, if you have a question for her, go ahead, ask her.
I feel like B-52s are like those kind of bands that also don't get much love, but you listen to their music and you realize that even the musicianship is totally amazing. Especially with all the guitar parts that you hear and stuff like Private Idaho, Rock Lobster, Planet Claire, Quiche Lorraine, and even going into Love Shack and Good Stuff, the Good Stuff album as well.
I Love You, Period was by Dan Baird. Oh, I didn't know that, John. Now I know. Welcome. John, if you have any questions for Paulina, go ahead and ask her anything you want. Everybody, well, you're welcome to ask questions as well as myself. Okay, let's see what else can I ask you. Okay, I'm going to go from this list that my friend did. What kind of music do you mostly listen to?
I'm a very pop-oriented person. I love my pop, and whether it's coming from like either younger artists like Olivia Rodrigo to artists like Kylie Minogue and stuff like that, I really like. So but I also try to make sure that I mix it up with like other stuff. Like there will be days where like, okay, I want to listen to some Bengals right now, or I want to listen to the Zombies, or I want to listen to maybe like a band like him, or I just try to diversify myself as much as I can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I lost my train of thought for a second. So what drum beats can you do on the drums? Can you do any Ringo riffs or stuff like that?
Pretty much. It's like I could do Ringo, and I find that his stuff is easy because I remember talking to my dad, and he said like, well, actually you were supposed to have been a lefty, but I made you a righty because I felt it would be less costly as a guitar player to find you a guitar. So I did learn how to do a little bit of the Ringo stuff on drums. Maybe I could do some of the Phil Collins stuff too. I like Phil Collins. He's the Love Genesis stuff that he's done.
Oh yeah, like that Second Home by the Sea. Doom,
Yeah.
Doom, 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 doom. I love Phil Collins when he does that little riff. It's so cool. Here's a question from Eric here.
What other bands from the time of the Beatles does Angelina like?
I think you meant Paulina.
Oh, so I do love the Beach Boys. I think aside from the Beatles, the Beach Boys are like probably like my second favorite band. Even though that also might that honor might also go to the Zombies. I really love the Zombies. I feel like they don't get much love, um, that they should. Like so, I like those two bands. I love the Birds. I'm into.
Thank you, John.
There's these two bands that came out. They're known as that garage bands that are really great. I think one is the Left Bank and the other one is the Merry-Go-Round. Um, I think people should listen to them as well. Like I love the Turtles. Really big fan of their music, and the Hollies. I really love the Hollies.
All the Hollies are great. I love that banjo in Stop All the Dancing.
Yeah. Stop, stop, stop all
All
dancing.
the dancing, or
Pretty.
I'll have to leave. I love that song, yeah. Or all I need is the air that I breathe and to love you. And he's not heavy. He's my brother. Great song.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the Kinks?
I love the Kings. I think songs like "Come On Now" or
Lola. I love Lola.
um, and of course uh, "All Day and All the Night" is like one of my favorite songs of theirs as well.
Thank you, Jorgen.
And "Sunny Afternoon." Gotta love "Sunny Afternoon."
Mm-hmm. Do you like Sonny and Cher when they were together?
I haven't dug much into their songs, but I do love "The Beat Goes On." I I just like how that
And
sings.
what about I Got You, Babe?
Yeah, that's a really good song too. This is
I
just
can.
did that. I just cannot come up with a name right now.
Did you like I Can Tina Turner?
That's too crazy for me to listen to. I can't get my head around Proud Mary. CCR is the definitive version of
Oh yeah, me too. I love Proud Mary by
I
CCR,
I love CCR music. I love John Fogerty. He makes really
and they do a really good bass line. And I heard it through the grapevine.
yeah.
Dong, da, dong, dong, da, 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 dong. I just love how they do that bass line. It's classic.
And I do love the Motown stuff. I really do love. I think Smokey Robinson is like such a great songwriter and producer, and then Marvin Gaye, man, that guy could write. He's such a
Oh
great.
yeah, Marvin Gaye was classic, and my friend got me into someone I never thought I'd get into, and I really love his music, and that is James Brown.
Yeah. Um,
Like he had some dance moves that no one else could ever do, and I love the movie Get On Up. And Chad Boseman, he played him so well. He had all the moves, and he was like moving around like James Brown. And I saw him in the theater. I was like, wow, and like he could just play. Do you like reggae?
love reggae. I'm a very big Bob Marley fan.
Oh, I love Bob Marley. Now we're gonna go into some more rock again. What about Jimi Hendrix?
Yeah, Jimmy. There's a lot of songs of Jimmy's that I like. My dad used to play me like a lot of his stuff, and I'm like, wow, that's really cool. Can you play that song again?
Okay, here's another one from Eric for you.
Paulina, do you listen to Curtis Mayfield or? I haven't ventured into their music yet. I think they've been like on my list of people to listen to. I know Curtis Mayfield really writes like a lot of great stuff. As far as Isaac Hayes, I don't know. I heard some,
He's the one I think that wrote the song for Shaq.
yeah, Shaft, yeah. I don't know if that's like the only song that people really know about Isaac Hayes, is the theme from Shaft, and I'm like, if that's the only thing that he's known for, then he probably does not have a lot of other great stuff that he's known for. But Curtis Mayfield, I know that he written like a lot of great stuff. I know the Zombies covered some Curtis Mayfield stuff that I liked.
Mm-hmm. Shaq. Do you like Queen?
Yeah. I do like their music. I feel like they're a little bit overplayed, but I do like some of their stuff.
Okay, Eric, I'll get to your next question in a second because now I got to get Nick's final butt in here with his question.
The worst blind buy purchase ever done? Truthfully, I've been lucky with every blind buy purchase I've ever done, ever made. Everything I ever bought, I find that I love it. So I don't think there isn't a worst one. I just have that luck of never buying something that I didn't like. Oh no. There is one. I was at Rockaway Records in LA and I bought this album from someone. I think they call themselves Envy or something like that. And I bought it and then I was like, yeah, I don't like this. I still have that album. So yeah, there is a purchase of this.
Okay, here's another one from Eric.
I do like Peter Tosh as well. I've heard like a lot of his stuff too, and yeah, he's great.
Well, when I was growing up, every Friday night, my sister and I would go downstairs in our pajamas, we'd have our snacks, and we'd watch Incredible Hulk. But before that, we'd always watch the Donnie and Marie show. Do you remember Donnie and Marie?
Mm-hmm.
She was a little bit country, and he was a little bit rock and roll. Remember that show? I used to love that show. It was so good. Okay, I have to ask this question because I know Doc, if Doc was here, he'd be asking you this. Do you love the Brady Bunch? I mean, not the Brady Bunch, the Partridge Family.
Oh, I love my Partridge Family.
Oh, I've got okay. Okay, that means I got to show mine too. Hold on, let me get mine.
You know, we cannot do a stream without a little bit of Partridge Family in your life.
Since we're on the the Partridge Family, I keep saying the Brady Bunch. That's another show I used to watch back in the day. So here's mine, and here's the second one that I have.
Sound magazine.
Sound machine. Yep. So I guess we're ready for the second album that you have to show.
Okay, so number 4 on my list, I went with Light Years by Kylie Minogue. This is her first album that she put out as an artist with Parlophone Records, which is the Beatles label that everybody knows. And
was that the one that had Locomotion?
No, the big hits on this album is Spinning Around on a Night Like This and Please Stay and Your Disco Needs You. And the reason why I chose this album over the two popular ones was because I think when I first started to come out, I felt like this album was sort of like a savior album to me. It's like the album that sort of gave me this kind of
yeah.
So I'm so in love with this album, and I was happy that they pressed it on vinyl. And it's a really hard album to find on vinyl. So yeah, so this becomes album number 4 that I really love.
And what year is that from?
The year 2000.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Cool. But what actual year did it actually come out? I mean.
2000. Yeah.
It did?
Yeah.
But I thought that was her first album.
Her first album was actually in 1987, and that was called Kylie.
Oh, okay. Oh, this is a more recent one from the 2000s. Okay. Now I understand. I was like, okay. Yeah. Didn't think of that. So if you could sing with 10,000 Maniacs, would you do it? If they asked you?
In a heartbeat, I would.
Edie Brickell as well?
Oh yeah. Both of them I would love to sing with.
Does she write all her own music?
Who, Edie Brickell?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like a really hands-on songwriter, and it's like you could really hear where like hear it in the songs that she's written, like because um some songs she writes on her own and some songs she's write with some of the members of the band, and even the stuff that she writes on her own are totally amazing. I think one
Yeah.
song is called Love Like We Do that I like.
And there's two other artists that were very popular in the '80s, and one did all the mall circuit. Tiffany, remember Tiffany?
Yeah.
And she did a version of "I Saw Her Standing There" or "I Saw Him Standing There." She butchered it. And
Yeah.
like, as being a Beatles fan, I thought, I'm like, no, Tiffany, do not touch it. No, 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 no.
Yeah, I was like on the fence about that one. I was like, no, as great of a sediment it was for her to do that, I was like, no. But
And also Deborah Gibson. Remember Debbie Gibson?
I love Debbie Gibson. I actually met her. Um, and she I like her music more than Tiffany's. I think Debbie
Me
Gibson
too.
is like a true child prodigy right there, because I remember her, because her mom, she did like, okay, I have to go back a little bit. She got a star at the Palm Springs Walk of Stars. We honored her over there, and so her mom went out there, and her mom says like, my daughter, Debbie was someone that knew what she wanted to do with music, and it was a thing where she got all the family's tape recorders, and she learned how to multi-track herself at a
Oh,
young.
wow.
And I was like, that's really amazing, because I used to do the same thing too. And so she's like a very talented child prodigy, and she still makes great music to this day.
And when she did that first song that I heard, Only in My Dreams, I thought that was like, wow. I had to get her album.
Yeah.
And Jorgen says here for you, a great Kylie album on a night like this is a great song.
Oh yeah. That that entire album is
That
totally.
is correct, Nick. Edie
Yeah.
Brickell and the New Bohemians. You don't hear much of that band anymore.
Yeah. They
It's
did
like they fell off the earth or something.
well. They did two albums, and then they split up, and then they've been back for the past 8 years, and they made like two new albums. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you don't mind, let's go to album number 3.
Okay, we can do that. I was just about to suggest that.
And album number 3 is Edie Brickell and New Bohemians, Shooting Rubber Bands and Stars. And
Ooh.
I remember having this on cassette tape, and I just played that cassette tape to death. I just
Wow.
every song on it, like What I Am, Little Miss Ass, Love Like We Do, Nothing Now. I was like, this album totally rocks for me, and I feel like it's like this album was like an eye opener to me growing up. I was like, wow, I just love this music, and I want to make music like this as well, and I do. I can make songs just like their
And I
music.
know you can. You can do this. You got it, Paulina. You got it, baby. I know you can. So this is an inspiration to you. This album.
Yeah,
And what is your all-time favorite song on it?
Love Like We Do. It's like their
Oh,
second or third single off of this.
oh
Such a,
yeah.
and I like the wordplay on it. It's like there's a lyric on it that says, "I don't believe in hatred anymore. I hate to think of how I felt before." And I'm like, wow. So she says that she doesn't like hatred, but there's something that she hates. So
Yeah.
it's like this kind of double entendre that goes on with it, and that's what I love about her, is her quirky wordplay on stuff like that.
Yeah.
That album for people that love great lyrics.
And when did this group start? Actually.
They started during 1985 in Texas. They're a Texas band, and they first started off just being called the New Bohemians. And Edie was just there watching the band, and they invited her to come up to sing, because I guess they heard that she's a really good singer. So she just came on and she gelled. So she joined the band, and then by the time that they got together, they got its contract. I think Geffen said, we should call you guys Edie Brickell and the New Bohemians. And she wasn't sure about that, but the other bands were like, no, if that if that's the way that our music is sell, then yeah, call ourselves Edie Brickell and New Bohemians. And
Cool.
not many people know this, but they had to get like a drummer for this album because the drummer that he had around that time was going through issues. So the drummer on this album is Chris Wittens,
Oh,
and
wow.
and they also had a keyboardist, a session player named Paul Wicks Wickens. Now, both Paul Wicks Wickens and Chris Witten, after this, well, around the time that this album was being made, Chris Witten was on a break because he was working with Paul McCartney on Flowers in the Dirt. So he did this during those sessions. And,
Ah,
and then after he finished this album, he went back to McCartney to continue working on Flowers in the Dirt. And when Paul needed a keyboard player, Chris Witten said, well, I just worked with this great keyboardist on this album, and his name is Wicks. So Wicks came out of this into the McCartney band and stuff. So this is sort of like a little, detour from the Flowers and Dirt sessions.
so here's a question from Eric.
Yeah, she married Paul Simon during, I want to say, 90 during 91, I think, because I think that's when they went back to Saturday Night Live, and that's where Edie Brickell met Paul Simon because Paul Simon was always on there on Saturday Night Live as one of those hosts and stuff. So, and they've been married since. They've been married throughout from the 90s to today. So that's a marriage that's going strong, 30 years strong.
Another 80s group I liked was Luba. Remember Luba?
I think so. Yeah.
And then there was Johnny Clegg and Savuka. Remember them?
I don't remember them. Yeah.
You never heard of them?
Nuh-uh.
Look them up. They're good.
I definitely will.
Edie did a concert at the zoo, and her and Paul walked around and talked to people. That's cool, JJ. So we're ready for your next album?
Sure.
We're almost running on 2 hours.
So
we don't want to keep it going too long, but I've gone longer than Rachel's ever done an interview. But well, it's my first one, so I didn't know, but now I know what to do. I'm getting used to it, so I'll make you big. All right, ready?
And sadly, this is not out on vinyl, and it should be on vinyl, and that is "Love Among the Ruins" by 10,000 Maniacs.
Ooh.
And this is their 1997 album. It's their first album with their current singer, Mary Ramsey. And the story about this was Mary Ramsey has already been involved with 10,000 Maniacs because she was working with a guitar player named John Lombardo, who was a founding member of 10,000 Maniacs, and they formed a folk duo together called John and Mary. And then when Natalie left, they just asked both John and Mary to rejoin the band. And so they made this great album, and the big songs on this is Rainy Day and their take on Roxy Music's More Than This.
Oh, I love More Than This. That's my favorite song.
And the reason why this is like my number 2 album, because it's the album that sort of saved my life. Because I remember around that time when this came out, before I heard it, I was like in a very low point in my life, and I was sort of contemplating, like suicide and stuff. But this album showed me that there's more, that there's beautiful music out there that still needs to be listened to. So I needed to, so I did.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Paulina's going to show her number 1. Let's have a drum roll.
So my number 1 is somewhat of a cheat because I had to lump these two as one entire album.
And you said it would connect to Back in the USSR somehow.
Yeah.
I think I know what it might be.
So the connection to this is.
Oh, I thought it was going to be the White Album.
Nope, it's 1962, 1966, and 67 to
the Red and the Blue album. Cool.
And the reason why I chose these is because I remember listening to these. This is like my introduction into the Beatles growing up. And my dad gave this album, but the thing was, it was missing the first disc on it. So I didn't have a chance to listen to, like Strawberry Fields and Penny
Yeah.
Lane, those kind of stuff. It just had like the second disc. So all I had to listen to was the first song on this album is Back Near Your Car. And I just,
Oh,
being a little kid and just watching that green apple go around and just being memorized by it and all the music that's on it. And so this album has like a very special place in my heart. And I think aside from the White Album, this whole set is like the set that I have like the most copies of. I just love it.
wow. Great choice. Great choice.
And of course, yeah, great pictures too. Like I just love that whole younger and then older.
Just like on the Get Back Blu-ray box set, which you're going to be receiving soon. Which I
Yeah.
got mine on Wednesday. Yeah, so I'm going to make you small. Well, I really like to thank you, Paulina. We're going on 2 hours. I really want to thank you for being here. And this interview went better than I thought it would.
Tell her she was very, very interesting.
You were very interesting. My mom liked it, and I thought
Very
you were amazing.
interesting to listen to.
Thanks, Pat.
And we got a lot of Beatle chat in here, and I asked you a lot of good questions, and the Peanut Gallery asked you some good questions. So I want to thank you all. And before we go, I have a shout out to my friends in New Maryland, New Brunswick. Their names are Emily and Simon at the Simon's Kitchen and Bakery. I want to thank them for motivating me yesterday that I can do this, and they're my inspiration to pump me up. And I want to thank you guys for giving me the motivation I needed to do this today. So thank you very much. And hello, how you doing, Lisa? Lisa, you got late. You got here late. Like we just finished, and it was success. It was a success. Yes. James, have you eaten all those Jaffa cakes? Not all of them yet. I still have some more packages left, but I ate one whole thing of myself. And my mom liked the raspberry cookies. She thought those were really good. So she ate a couple of those. And the chocolate things that you call tea cakes, here we have something called chocolate whippets. And they're kind of the same thing.
And the next time you go, I want a cinnamon raisin loaf.
Yeah. So so JJ says to you, Mom, hi, Pat. You are the best mom in Canada.
Who's that?
JJ.
Ah,
Yeah, but he's in the peanut gallery.
how's he feeling, JJ?
Well, you can ask him.
JJ, how are you feeling?
Yeah. So, Mom, do you have any question you want to ask Paulina about her music or anything?
Well, no, I heard everything.
Well, you can ask her a question
I don't
too.
have a question.
Well, ask her something. You can. She'd love to hear something from you. Go on. Yeah.
I'm here.
I love your hair.
Oh, thank you.
Very becoming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Was very nice of you to give James the time today to do this interview.
Oh, anything for James. I love James. We all love James.
He's been anxious to do this.
Hey, Dusty.
And he must be a sweetheart because you raised them, and you're a very sweet woman too. So
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And if you ever come to New Brunswick, you're welcome to stay here. And then you and I, if you rent the car, because I don't drive, but Paulina, we can go hit some record stores and go look for some Beatles and Elvis and whatever else, and you can get me into some music I've never heard before.
That would be great. I would love to do like a tour, especially visit Canada. I always want to go to Canada.
Okay, we got to get something from your boo here.
What's the future of my channel before I go? Great question. So I think next week I'll be start streaming again. I'll be doing the Friday night thing from 8:30 up until 12. I'd like to thank Ruby Lisa for doing it last night. She did like an amazing job hosting us, and so I'm gonna be continue doing streams, and then I'm also gonna work on some Beatles videos for my channel.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to that. But
Yeah.
Pauline, if you're doing some live streams, if you can try to go earlier in the evening so I can come and join because the time zones are killing me.
Yeah,
I'd like to join you guys too.
Or earlier too. All depend. I think during December I should be able to do that because I'm gonna have like downtime at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to thank everybody for being here today. Thank you, Paulina, for being my interviewee. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dusty, JJ, Lisa, everybody else in the Peanut Gallery here that was here to support us today. I want to thank you all. And as I say, my channel, Beatles Forever. See you on the next one. Bye for now.
Peace.
Peace. See you later. Bye.